Tuna Bond Scandal. The scandal took place in Mozambique in 2016. It involved issuance of 2 million worth of government guaranteed bonds to finance and to purchase the fishing boats and maritime surveillance equipment. The Credit Suisse subsidiary bank and the Russian bank VTB, they helped arrange for the bond.
And the strength, highly capitalized. The bank's possession of excess money attracted many states in need, which in turn led to exploitation of the said countries and corruption and bribery of certain bank employees. Developmental background in other countries. As I just mentioned, that the bank is in possession of excess money, which means they were able to fund certain projects in most developmental countries. This made them susceptible to an approach from Mozambique, which in this case needed money to fund the maritime project. Authority given to the subsidiary banks. The subsidiary banks are in positions of power that enable the finality of decision making. This means the decision making process does not need to get a final word from the head of officers. Weaknesses, ignorance to regulations and policies. Credit Suisse and BTB had deficient accounting controls, which failed to make them aware of known risks concerning bribery and corruption. Culture of bribery and corruption. As I just mentioned, there's an ongoing ignorance of regulations and policies. This becomes a culture within these banks. In reviewing the previous controversies that these banks have been involved in, there's a noticeable trend of employees that are often involved in corrupt acts. This makes it very easy for countries that desire to borrow loans to.
Moving on to opportunities. When talking about opportunities, we look at the external factors from the government side that enabled the scandal. Well, there's the need of money to boost the economy. Well, Mozambique was coming off the civil wars and the Great Recession of 2008. They needed money to boost the economy. And in that case, they approached Credit Suisse. And a desperate government seeking for money, it's easy to take out more money than it was needed. The next point, corrupt government. Well, not only Mozambique is known for the civil wars, it is also known for its corrupt activities. And when the Credit Suisse also has such allegations of corruptions, that makes it easy for them to launder more money. We are going to look at the threats. What could have hindered the scandal from occurring? Well, there is legislation. The government of Mozambique requested for the loan from Credit Suisse, the VTB bank in Russia, without the consent of the parliament. And I believe with the terms that were stated in the request of the loan, the loan request wouldn't even applied for. International monetary funds and other donors. Well, WHO, the IMF, and other countries like the US were offering aid to Mozambique for the damages caused by the civil wars. They were not involved in the request of the loan process. Had they been involved, they could have secured a better loan from other institutions. Regulators in UK and in Switzerland. Well, as previously mentioned, the terms of the loan were not legal. So if these regulators in the UK and the Swiss government, if the regulators were involved in the process of the loan approval, they would have declined the request.
Moving on to the socio-economic impacts of the Tuna Bond Scandal. The first point, we have tarnish to the image of both the country and the bank and loss of foreign investment. No country would want to be in relation with a country that is involved in crimes such as embezzlement, fraud, and bribery. Same as foreign investors, no one would want to put their means and finances into a country that has a bad reputation and risk loss. The following point is a decline in the economy of Mozambique. So, the promised benefits that the government made towards the country were not realized at all, and there was no added value, as immense amounts of debt were created worth 11 billion US dollars. This amount shows that it was equivalent to the gross domestic product of the country in 2016. Moving on to devaluation of the currency, which led to inflation and poverty. So the currency of the country was devalued and inflation happened as prices were raised and people could not afford to buy goods and services. Standards of living were lowered and many people were driven into poverty. Moving on to the codes of ethics that were breached, we have due care, integrity, professional behavior, and objectivity. So with due care, it involves taking the interest of the public at hand and doing what is best for the public. We can see that the government of Mozambique did not do this at all, as they embezzled funds and used them for their own personal benefits. Moving on to integrity, it involves honesty with all business relations, which the government did not do, as they took these loans from the Swiss bank, claiming that they're for the marine projects and fishing industry. Instead, they embezzled them. We have objectivity too. We see this whereby the Swiss bank was bribing the employees to keep their mouths shut and ignore all the fraud that was going on. We also have professional behavior, where the government and the bank did not follow the relevant laws and regulations that they were supposed to, whilst they were committing these crimes.